Alright guys, this should hopefully be the one.
Well, it has to be because I'm hungry and we're taking this.
Oh, well, okay, well, it's happening. So if you missed what happened before, which I highly doubt, I think we figured out why it wouldn't start. Well, actually, it's pretty much guaranteed why it wouldn't start.
Pretty much.
So yeah, basically I had to custom make the BC adjustable cam gear to suit the old style, like GC8 cam tooth pattern, or trigger pattern, and put the old oil pump, pulley, whatever you want to call it, on to use that pattern as well. So, yeah.
Who'd have thought it would suck to have too many teeth? There you go.
And like you said, it's surprising that it actually got spark at all, or RPM.
Yeah, it's surprising it got the right RPM, or like a reasonable RPM considering how many more trigger points this has compared to standard, or what it's supposed to have.
So, I guess, what should we do first? Check spark, obviously.
Yeah, we'll check the spark, make sure they're all...
So we've got our jumper leads set up, each side of the, or each bank of the motor in one clamp.
So recap from before, we were only getting spark on one of the Siamese coil packs.
Yeah.
And not the other.
So 1 and 2 was getting spark, 3 and 4 wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is strange that any of them did, but anyway.
Yeah, so we'll plug the computer in because it's got the cam and crank trigger signals that say it's activated every time it triggers, so we'll keep an eye on that. Make sure it's getting an RPM trace whilst we're checking that the sparks coming through on all spark plugs.
All spark fronts.
All spark fronts. On all plug fronts. Well, that was a good lead into what we're going to do next.
Very well. Well segued.
Well segued. It just triggered a thought, but anyway. Let's advance on this, come on. So then we'll check the cranking spark advance off the crank trigger with the timing light to make sure everything is happening correctly. Then we'll put the plugs back in and
bang bang.
Go for the big bang.
You know what, I reckon it'll fire straight up.
I reckon we should just give it a go. I'm reserving judgment.
Man, it has been so long.
I'm an old man now.
Yeah. Alright, yeah. Yeah, buddy.
All sparks?
We got all sparks.
Alright. It is reading heaps less RPM. It's about 200 or so.
Okay.
And before it was reading like 500 or so.
Well, that kind of explains things.
Yep. So that's cool, and the camshaft was triggering and the crankshaft was triggering.
Yep.
Cool, cool.
Alright, so spark is good. We got a more consistent looking spark. Good colour and size as well. Reasonable size. That's what she said. So timing light now.
Hang on. Alright, go. Yep. Spot on. And really good too, like bang on.
Yeah,
whereas before it was drifting all over. Yeah.
Oh man, really it's fucking looking good.
What do you reckon? Excited?
I reckon it'll fire up first go. Seriously.
You need a mashup of all the times you said that.
I reckon it'll fire up first go. Go. Alright guys, so everything is checking out good. We're about to turn key. I've just put the plugs in. This could very well be it. Everything's looking promising, spark, timing, all that stuff. So I'm going to take this turbo inlet pipe off so we can see this bad boy spin like a motherfucker. And yeah, basically as soon as this starts, we need to do a cam brake in for about half an hour. Get it up to temp. Got the cooling system to bleed, power steering system as well, and then we've also got to check for leaks, etc, etc. So yeah, we got to 45 pounds. Okay, so Ben has set the injector, basically scaling, well not the scaling, the fueling. You've set that a bit lower, haven't you? Just to save flooding it like we were before. It should be set right from a manual at ECU Labs, but just to be safe, and it's a pain in the ass pulling the plugs out, set it a bit low, and then we can actually live tune it up or down or whatever once it's running. So, fuck.
Ready?
I think so. Oh shit! The closer we've had the friggin' light. Not much in it. Holy fuck. So how was the fueling? Did you have to put more in?
Heaps out.
Have to pull heaps out?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
Congratulations. Well done.
Whoa, this is crazy. I better check for leaks actually.
Get back to your job.
Yeah. I wonder what the check engine light is.
Yeah, we should check that out as well. I'm just going to leave it there so the mixtures are right for the rest of the run-in.
Yeah.
But
How good's this guy is?
got the timer.
He's got the timer going on the old Fitbit.
That's it.
Man, I can't wait to hear it when it idles. Fuck. So there's strict instructions from the person who built the heads that it can't idle or be below 2000 basically for the first half an hour of braking, so that's why you're not going to hear it for a little bit.
Oh, 5 more minutes.
How's the clutch feel, out of curiosity?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got good feel to it. Hydraulic, yeah.
Yeah.
No rattle.
Nah, that's the best thing.
Motor revs beautifully.
Yeah.
Just from that little like playing with controls sort of thing.
Like tune wise or lightness of the...
Just lightness, like you just...
Yeah.
It's actually quite difficult to hold it exactly at 2000. I've got my foot wedged against the side here.
He'll be on a compo claim for
RSI.
Woo! Get a whiff of that. Alright, so you're probably the best to explain where we're at. So as you saw it run, it runs. But
it looks like there's some issue in the ground circuit. So earlier in the piece, you might recall we had an issue with the ground for the coil pack feed, which is down to here. So we jumpered that to ground. As it turns out, the grounding issue is far larger than what we thought. So we were testing the ground circuits because we noticed on the ECU the reported voltage by the ECU was quite low, 12 volts, even though we're measuring 14 volts in the engine bay and surrounding electrics. So yeah, we've gone around and started troubleshooting. The 12 volt feed at the ECU is quite low and the ground is quite high, so the ground's reading 9 volts or so. And as we started unloading the ground circuits by disconnecting things like the fuel pump, the rest of the ECU, the auxiliary wiring, some of the relays, the voltage at the ground wire started getting higher and higher and closer to 12 volts. So what we suspect is that something's miswired and a 12 volt feed is actually running into the ground. And that was being dragged down to ground level by all the other circuits connected through the ECU. So it's quite lucky nothing's blown up that we know of at this point. So we're checking Chaos Carl's wiring, going back through and disconnecting everything and checking the circuits, all the ones that are spliced in, to find where the wires crossed up. So that's what we think at the moment.
Yeah. So the reason why we knew to look for this is because, tell them what was happening when you were tuning.
Because you're a repeat offender.
Yeah, other than that.
Of that. No, as we were tuning, we noticed the system voltage dropping down and the AFRs are swinging all over the place, which you can sort of combat through the injector voltage offset table. So you could see when it was sort of coming down in system voltage and the mixtures were leaning off quite a lot. And then you'd sort of give it a rev and the system voltage would pick up and the mixtures would go rich again. So we're chasing that for a little bit and started diagnosing it with the old trusty multimeter. Very, very valuable. So yeah, it's probably just a case of one of the wires hooked up to the wrong spot. But I'm not that familiar with Subarus, so Carl's going to go back through and check all the wiring and all the splices and all the connections.
But my custom cam pulley, what a fucking beast.
Works a treat,
What
starts,
a beast.
runs. Yeah. So, another case of 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
So how many times have you come for a first start now, Andrew?
I think I'm on to the second
Was this
hand
the third
now.
time?
No, it's probably about the third time.
Third time lucky?
And it runs, so pretty exciting.
I'm just keen to hear it idle. we can't even let it idle because of the voltage.
Starts at the rev side.
Yeah, we got no leaks. Everything's good. As far as I can see, I'm going to come back tomorrow or in a couple of days and check if that head gasket's weeping again. It doesn't look like it's wept since it's cooled down.
Making progress.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Not doing as late a nights. What is the time?
It is 10:30 by the rocket.
Okay, let's go.
Let's get out of here.
Well guys, another week has passed, another stupid problem, but I have solved it. So I actually solved it a bit faster than I thought I would, but it was something basic, and after reading a shit ton of owner's manuals and wiring diagrams, whole heap of them there, pages and pages and pages of wiring, I finally understood what the go is with the all the wiring basically to and from the ECU. So if you recall, we're getting our 12 volt at the ground and nothing at the 12 volt. So that kind of indicated a floating ground, but then I was kind of like, okay, well, where is that floating ground? So I thought back to all my wiring I did for the LS coil packs. I ended up, I'll show you. So on this brown plug here, this is where, so this yellow and green here is the ECU power. Actually, no, I don't think it is actually. But this brown and black one here is a ground from the ECU. So then I followed that and I was like, oh shit, I actually cut that because I then ran this to my ground for the coils. I didn't realize that this went into the engine bay. I thought this literally just went through here and went up to the loom that normally goes to the plug for the coil pack. But because I'm getting rid of this coil pack and going to the LS coils, which you can see over there, I thought it purely went from this plug around to this plug. But after looking at the wiring diagram, they all go to this ground. So, after, I've rejoined it now obviously, but after jumping that, I fixed my issue. So, yeah. Just got to put everything back together and we should be good to go. So I'm also hopeful now that we've fixed that, because that was basically the circuit that I was pulling the power for my LS coil driver module from. So now that we've fixed that, I'm hoping that the LS coil driver module might actually be good. If you remember earlier on, we had issues with the timing So it still could be the case, the circuitry, like resistors and all that, might still need tweaking. I've actually bought a few components to set up a test bench and fine tune that once I get it running and get some time to fiddle around with that. But I guess when Ben comes, he'll be here very soon. We're gonna hopefully take this for a bass tune, get some stuff done, iron out any more bugs that might occur, which is highly likely. I've still got to set up the catch can again. I'm just getting pretty over this now. I just want to get it out of the workshop and driving, then I can fiddle around with that at home. Still got to do a cold air box as well. Just an air box mainly to keep the police happy and whoever blue slips this. But yeah, it is engineered, not with this turbo and stuff, but shall we give this a shot?
Ready for first starts?
I think so. See if it'll actually idle this time. Okay, here we go. Send it. She rich?
Yeah, really rich, so I won't leave it running too long, but the voltage is really good at the EC.
Oh yeah, we have
14.
well and truly fixed the voltage. Alright, so now you got to get back into EC Labs and live tune?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oil pressure's looking good.
Oil pressure's good. 90 psi oil pressure, 35-ish fuel pressure, but that'll move around.
So a little quick tech tip for you guys: when you're buying a pressure sensor, especially oil or fuel, you want to buy this kind. These are the 3-wire. These are a 5-volt sensor, opposed to sometimes you'll see one with like a big kind of bulky body. I'll chuck a photo on the screen. But basically they're inferior because they measure the pressure through resistance, and when you're in a hot engine bay, pretty much after a while, because I've got them in my other car and they're just shit, they're totally inaccurate now. So these are the ones to go for. So when you're buying a kit, make sure that they've got that style of sensor, the 3-pin. So we've finished fine tuning the idle. Still a little bit of checking things over. We're currently just testing the AC, all the condensation and everything works, which it looks like it is. It's got a pretty nice idle now. We had a bit of a problem with the TPS, so we had to basically set the base idle, then reset the TPS to 0. So it's idling pretty nicely now. It starts up really nice. And it's got a real nice lopey idle now, which is friggin' awesome. Check out how awesome this Mamba turbo is. This is just an idle. I'm going to go turn it off and we'll count for how long it takes to spool down.
It's going to be dinner time by the time this spools down.
Man, that is actually impressive. Holy shit.
It's really cool.
Are they good bearings?
Must be. I reckon if you had an extra squirt at WD-40 like your skateboard bearings, it'd be alright. Go longer. Still going. And
wow. That's fucking impressive. So what do you reckon, mate? Time for a drive soon?
absolutely.
Let's get some lunch first.
Definitely. Can't think on an empty stomach.
No.
Or tune.
I would say we should take this to get some lunch, but it isn't actually registered at the moment.
And I actually want to get to lunch.
No, that's all the problem's done now. I've used up all my problem cards. So what's that, 850 idle or a bit lower?
It's a little bit lower than that. It's about 700 with the AC on. AC off. It's about 800. So let's do a start, shall we?
Still nice and lumpy. And we can make it lumpier with some timing. And that goes against everything he wants. Alright. Mate, like a charm.
Pretty good.
Nice, man.
Lovely.
Really, really nice. This is such a good feeling.
Been a long time in the making.
It has, man. It's been like 2 and a bit years since I've driven this car last.
The aircon works perfectly too.
Yeah, he's most excited about the aircon.
Yeah, man. That's it. Gotta have aircon.
Alright, lunch hiatus and then we'll be back.